Elon Musk has been in a very public battle over an attempted hostile takeover of Twitter in the fight for free speech. After the weekend, I've got a whole roundup of stories for you coming up next on TechShark. Welcome to TechShark, bite-sized news for conservative surfing the net. So, to refresh everybody, Musk offered over $40 billion to initiate a hostile takeover of Twitter this month after criticizing big tech for its lack of free speech. Twitter appears to have rejected the offer, putting itself at great financial and legal risk. Now, I've collected a few stories from across the internet in the following days for a quick roundup so we can put together where things stand and how people are reacting. First up, Musk and former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey are both turning up the heat against Twitter's board of directors. Forbes wrote that Musk has sought to use the company's platform against it, launching a series of critical tweets at the board this weekend. The same article then observed that Dorsey labeled the board as consistently the dysfunction of the company. Forbes concluded that while there's no evidence to suggest some formally organized collusion by Musk and Dorsey, an unintended or informal campaign by two of the most important players in this battle, who reached a combined 90 million people on Twitter, could play an important role in turning public opinion against the board. On Easter Monday, Musk explained that the board salary will be $0 if my bid succeeds. So that's $3 million a year saved right there. Our next story is about another Forbes piece that theorized multiple plan Bs for how Musk can take over Twitter. One was that he may double down and buy more Twitter stock, noting it's certainly possible that Musk, the world's richest person, can't afford to keep pressing down. The article also suggested that Musk could team up with another rich person or several of them, or with an institutional buyer like a private equity firm. Sharing the financial burden would eliminate how much Tesla stock he'd need to sell or how big a loan he'd need. Forbes noted that this tactic would also shield him from critiques that he would be aiming to become the singular ruler of Twitter. Story number 3 is that the Washington Post's editorial board released a piece on Easter Sunday, April 17th, headlined, "Opinion: Let's hope Elon Musk doesn't win his bid for Twitter." Now, please note that this isn't just some random commentator writing a once-a-month column. This is the editorial board of the Washington Post itself. The editorial suggested that big tech has been forced to be tougher on speech because their platforms can be abused to manipulate elections or spread health misinformation or harass people en masse. Now, no mention was made about some very real election manipulation that came from Twitter itself. Twitter censored the New York Post story about Hunter Biden's so-called laptop from hell. Our organization literally commissioned a poll proving that enough voters to swing the election would have voted differently if they had heard about the Biden family's dealings in foreign lands. The Washington Post also published an opinion piece from former Reddit CEO and notorious anti-free speech liberal Ellen Pao, who wrote, "Musk's appointment to Twitter's board shows that we need regulation of social media platforms to prevent rich people from controlling our channels of communication." The irony of the fact is that the Washington Post is owned by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, whose net worth is $178.4 billion. Bezos, who The Telegraph observed, is competing for mastery of the universe only with Musk himself. In other news, Business Insider on Friday reported that Musk, the richest man in the world, was asked if his influence was a conflict of interest for his offer to buy Twitter for $43 billion. He responded and said that Twitter would be nothing like Facebook if he owned it. As for media sort of ownership, I mean, you've got Mark Zuckerberg owning Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp, and with the share ownership structure that will have Mark Zuckerberg the 14th still controlling those entities. Like, literally, Musk added, we won't have that at Twitter. He said that his offer to buy Twitter was not a way to make money, but was instead about promoting freedom of speech. Our final story Yet another former Reddit CEO commented on Musk as well. Former Reddit CEO Yishan Wang said in a Twitter thread that Musk was in for a world of pain if he bought Twitter and that he, quote, has no idea, end quote. Now, while he talks about how he has seen people on the left and right who've been censored, he went way too far when he claimed the people who run big tech don't care about politics, and even suggested Donald Trump was not deplatformed for being right-wing. YouTuber Tim Pool had the perfect response here when he replied, "This is an interesting take, but is premised on objectively false notions. Platforms are biased against conservatives, period. Twitter's misgendering policy is only one example. While the left does get censored, it's a rule versus exception issue." Now here's the shark bite. This is probably the first time I can remember anyway, doing a Roundup episode, but if there's a single takeaway I want you to have, it's this. Leaving big tech platforms in protest does not scare the left. Teaming up with powerful people to take them over in the name of free speech, now that'll do it. Even if Musk doesn't succeed in the end, he literally brought to light the fact that some of Twitter's biggest owners have been Saudi Arabia, an Islamic theocratic dictatorship in the Middle East, and asset managers like BlackRock. Asset managers like that are reportedly responsible in no small part for destroying the American dream by buying up affordable houses and then renting them out to my generation. We will own nothing and we'll be happy, right? Wrong. Not so much. Any honest lefties who still care about battling religious radicalism and megacorporations have really got to consider their priorities when that's who they're rooting for against Musk. On the other hand, Elon Musk here has altered conservatism in a way I think is critical. See, the most powerful people in our country, particularly liberals, understand that by paying for huge platforms that don't necessarily make a lot of money, instead you're investing in political power. Think about how Bezos bought the Washington Post. Many conservatives tend to think about what can generate immediate profit rather than what will actually impact the world long after they're gone. Sometimes influence, or at the very least allowing your friends and allies to speak freely, is more valuable in the long term than a few $1 billion. There are things, legacies, more important than how big your mansion is, things more exciting than a giant screen TV, things like saving your civilization. It's truly good and noble to plant the seeds for trees under whose shade we know we shall never live to sit. Thanks for watching TechShark, brought to you by MRC-TV and Free Speech America. Have a good week.